My name is Alice. I was 26 when I met Jacob. I lived with my mother and my younger sister, Emma, in a quiet little city just outside Dallas, Texas. Life had gotten tougher after my father passed away, but it forged a strong bond between the three of us. We didn't have much in the way of wealth, but we were rich in love and support for one another. My days were spent working at a clothing boutique in the local mall. It wasn't my dream job, but it paid the bills. Most evenings, I'd come home exhausted, yet I would always find a second wind laughing with Emma as we prepared dinner together. One sun-drenched Saturday afternoon, my cousin Megan got married. The reception was held in a grand hall, a vibrant swirl of music, fragrant flowers, and joyous faces. Laughter echoed off the walls as people danced, celebrated, and savored the delicious food. I wore a simple blue dress that my mother had lovingly altered for me. It wasn't brand new, but it made me feel beautiful. As I chatted with some old friends, my eyes were drawn to a man standing near the entrance. He was tall with dark hair and a face that seemed carved from stone, serious and unsmiling. He didn't laugh. He didn't dance. He simply stood there, a silent observer watching the celebration unfold. And every so often his gaze would land on me. A strange feeling fluttered in my stomach. He spoke to no one, not even the groom, which made me wonder if he was just incredibly shy. I tried to look away to lose myself in the party, but my curiosity was a magnet. Each time I glanced across the crowded room, he was there, still watching. I danced with my cousins, sang along to the music, and posed for pictures, but the image of the stoic man remained in the back of my mind. He never moved from his spot, a silent statue amidst the joyful chaos, until the very end of the wedding. 2 days later, a message lit up my phone screen. "Hi, I saw you at the wedding. Can we talk?" I was baffled. "Who is this?" I typed back. The reply came almost instantly. "I'm the man from the wedding. You wore a blue dress. You looked beautiful." A shock went through me. How did he get my number? "I asked your cousin, Megan. I hope that's okay." I hesitated, unsure of how to respond. It was forward, but my curiosity won out over my caution. I'd never had a stranger approach me like this, so I replied, "Okay, we can talk." And that was the beginning. His name was Jacob. He was 32 and worked in real estate, helping families find their dream homes. He lived alone in the city and confessed he didn't have many close friends. We began talking constantly. He sent me good morning texts and stayed up late messaging me at night. He wanted to know everything about me, my day, my dreams, my favorite foods, my favorite movies. He told me I was sweet and kind, that I was full of a light he had never seen before. His messages made me smile, and his words were a warm balm for my heart. On the 3rd day of our nonstop conversation, he sent a message that made me stop breathing. "I want to marry you," he wrote. "I see you as my future." I was speechless. We had only been talking for a few days. "You don't even know me," I typed back, my fingers trembling slightly. "I know what I feel," he replied. "I feel something powerful and I don't want to lose you. Please say yes." I didn't answer right away. I confided in my mother, showing her the messages. "Be careful, Alice," she warned gently. "Some men are good with words, but their actions don't always follow. Take your time." But his intensity was intoxicating. No one had ever pursued me with such certainty. No one had ever called me the one. He made me feel seen, important, and cherished. After 2 weeks of this digital whirlwind romance, I typed the words that would change my life. "Yes, I will marry you." He called me immediately, his voice thick with emotion. "You've made me the happiest man alive. I will take care of you forever." Our wedding was a small, intimate affair with only our closest family and friends. I wore a simple white dress my mother helped me choose, and Jacob wore a sharp gray suit. He never took his eyes off me, a constant, adoring smile on his face. In that moment, I truly believed I had found my perfect man. The beginning was a fairy tale. He brought me flowers just because, took me on walks in the park, and held my hand in small, cozy cafes. "You are the light in my life," he would whisper. We moved into a small apartment in the city, and he insisted I quit my job. "I'll take care of us," he promised. "Don't you worry about money." For one perfect month, life was beautiful. I found joy in being a homemaker, cooking his favorite meals and decorating our little nest with soft lights and framed photos. Every night, I would wait for him to come home, my heart leaping when I heard his key in the lock. Sometimes he brought home cake, other times a small gift like a pair of earrings or my favorite chocolate. We would eat, talk, and laugh for hours. I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. This, I told myself, must be what true love feels like. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to shift. One evening, I noticed him sitting on the sofa, a wide smile on his face as his fingers flew across his phone's screen. "Who are you talking to?" I asked playfully. His head snapped up, his expression guarded. "Just a colleague from work." He quickly pocketed the phone and switched on the television. I didn't press him. I wanted to trust him. Over the next few weeks, he started coming home later and later, blaming it on a busy period at work. He stopped sitting with me for dinner, often eating quickly while scrolling on his phone. The phone itself became an extension of his hand, always in his pocket, never left lying around as it once was. One night, he didn't come home until after midnight. The special dinner I had prepared was cold on the stove. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I told you work was busy," he snapped. "Why are you being like this?" A sharp pain pierced my chest. I said nothing. I tried to push the worry from my heart, telling myself I was being overly sensitive. I still loved him, and I desperately wanted things to get better. But deep down, a cold knot of dread was forming in my stomach. Something was terribly wrong. And then, one night, everything shattered. Before I continue with the rest of my story, I want to connect with you, the person listening. It gives me strength knowing that my words are reaching someone who might understand. Please, if you feel comfortable, let me know in the comments where you are listening from. It would mean the world to me. One evening, he went to take a shower and left his phone on the nightstand. It was unlocked. I sat there, staring at it, my hands cold and my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I didn't want to be that person, the one who snoops, but I couldn't stop myself. With a trembling finger, I opened his messages, and there I saw her name, Melissa. I clicked on their conversation. The messages were sweet, romantic, intimate. "You're the one I think about every night. I miss your touch," she had written. His reply, "You mean everything to me." My eyes burned. A lump formed in my throat, choking me. I wanted to scream, but no sound would come out. There were pictures, too, selfies of them in a car, smiling, her hand resting possessively on his shoulder. He never looked at me with that same unguarded joy. He never told me I was his everything. The floor felt like it had dissolved beneath me. Just then, he walked out of the bathroom and froze when he saw the phone in my hand. I looked up at him, my hands shaking uncontrollably. "Who is Melissa?" I asked, my voice a soft, broken whisper. He didn't answer at first, his mind racing for a lie. Finally, he said, "It's not what it looks like." But I already knew. My heart was no longer blind. I sat on the edge of the bed, Jacob's phone clutched in my hands as my entire body trembled. I couldn't find the words. My mouth was dry, my heart a leaden weight in my chest. I looked at him, his face pale and nervous but not remorseful. "I trusted you," I said quietly. "You told me I was your one and only. Why did you lie?" He looked away, unable to meet my gaze. "I made a mistake, Alice, please. It didn't mean anything." "Didn't mean anything?" I asked, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "You called her your everything. You took pictures together. You sent her romantic messages every single day. You gave her the love I thought was reserved for me." He took a step closer, but I recoiled as if burned. "I'm sorry," he said again. "Please forgive me. I'll stop talking to her. I promise. Just give me one more chance. I'll be better." I didn't reply. I couldn't. I walked into the bedroom and locked the door, collapsing onto the floor in a heap of tears. I cried all night, the pain in my chest more acute than anything I had ever felt. The messages, the pictures, his smile that was never truly for me, they played on a loop in my mind. In the morning, I slowly packed a bag with my essentials. I didn't take much. I moved like a ghost, silent and numb. I left the apartment without a word and took a taxi to my mother's house. The moment she opened the door and saw my face, she knew. "Alice, what happened?" I fell into her arms, the sobs I had been holding back finally breaking free. I didn't tell her the whole story then, just whispered, "I need to stay here for a while." She held me tightly. "Of course, my child, stay as long as you need." For the next few days, I was a shadow of myself. I stayed in my childhood bedroom, lost in a fog of grief. My sister, Emma, did her best to cheer me up, but a genuine smile felt like a distant memory. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces, their words. Jacob called relentlessly, his texts flooding my phone with pleas to come back. He swore he had deleted Melissa's number, that he was lost without me. After a week, my mother sat with me in the kitchen. "Talk to me, Alice," she said gently. Staring into my cup, I finally confessed. "He was with another woman, sending her love messages. They were together even before we got married, and he never stopped." My mother gasped. "Are you sure?" I nodded slowly. "I saw everything. He says he's sorry, but I can't forget what he did." She took my hand. "This is hard, I know, but you need to think about what you want for your future. Do you want to try and fix this, or do you want to leave?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I still love him, but I feel so broken." She didn't push me. She just said, "Whatever you decide, I will support you." Later that day, Jacob showed up at the house. My mother answered the door. I hid in my room, not wanting to see him, but she called me out. "Come, Alice, he's here." I walked slowly into the living room. Jacob stood there, looking tired and holding a small gift bag. "I brought this for you," he said, handing it to me. I didn't take it. "Please, Alice, I know I hurt you. I was a fool, but I love you. I want to fix this. Let me try again for us." I looked at him, the man who had whispered such sweet promises, the man who had made me feel so special, and the man who had shattered my world with his lies. I glanced at my mother. She said softly, "Sometimes people can change." Jacob seized the opening. "Let me show you I can be better. Please, just one more chance." For a fleeting moment, I remembered the good times, the walks, the dinners, the laughter. I wanted that back so desperately. I thought about the shame of a failed marriage so soon. And so, against my better judgment, I agreed. "One last chance," I said, my voice firm. "Don't you dare break my heart again." He promised he wouldn't, that he would never hurt me again. We moved back into the apartment. For a little while, things did seem better. He was attentive and kind, coming home early and showering me with attention. "I'm so lucky to have you," he'd say. I tried to believe him. We attempted to rebuild. I cleaned and cooked, we watched movies, he even took me out to a nice dinner. A small part of me thought, maybe he really is changing. But something inside me was permanently altered. The trust was gone. I couldn't laugh as freely as before. Every time his phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. Every time he was late, a cold fear crept into my heart. I never said anything, but I was living in a constant state of anxiety. Then the old patterns started to re-emerge. It began with small things. His phone was always face down, always with him. He grew quiet and distant. One evening he claimed he had a work dinner. He left early and came home after midnight. I spent hours by the window, my heart a heavy stone. The very next day I saw his car parked near the grocery store. He wasn't alone. Melissa was in the passenger seat, and they were laughing together. My heart broke all over again, but this time it was different. There were no tears, no sharp pain. Just a deep, silent, hollow numbness. When he came home that night, I didn't scream or cry. I just looked at him with empty eyes and said, "You did it again." He fell to his knees. "Alice, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I do this. You're my angel, my wife, my everything. Please don't leave me." I didn't answer. That night, sleep was impossible. I went to the kitchen and made myself a cup of tea, sitting alone in the dark. I thought about the hopeful girl who had danced at her cousin's wedding. I thought about the quiet, afraid, and broken woman I had become. And I thought about my future. I knew, with absolute certainty, this could not be my life. The next morning, I began packing my suitcase again. He watched me in silence. "You're really leaving?" he finally asked. "Yes," I said, "but I love you," he pleaded. I didn't reply. I just zipped my suitcase, walked out the door, and went back to my mother's house. I hugged her and said, "I can't do this anymore." She didn't ask a single question. She just welcomed me home. This time, I told her everything. The second chance, seeing them together, the complete absence of feeling in my heart for him. "You are so brave, Alice," she said. "I am so proud of you." I stayed with my family, and slowly, with their help, I began to heal. My sister made me laugh again. My mother's presence helped me sleep through the night. I started to feel like I could breathe again. One day, I woke up and a single thought echoed in my mind. I want a new life. And that's when I made the biggest decision I had ever made. I stood in front of the mirror, a freshly issued passport in my hand. It felt surreal. Just a few months ago, I was a crumpled heap on an apartment floor, my world in ruins. Now, I was preparing to leave everything, and everyone I had ever known behind. After leaving Jacob for the final time, I found a strange sense of calm living with my mother and sister. The frantic waiting for his texts, the constant wondering where he was, it was all gone. I was just tired. Tired of the pain, tired of forgiving the same lie over and over. One morning, while browsing online, I stumbled upon a job posting for a hotel receptionist in Lisbon, Portugal. I didn't know a soul there. I had never even been on a plane. But a quiet voice inside me whispered, "Go." I showed the posting to my mother. "You want to move abroad?" she asked, surprised. "Yes," I said, a newfound resolve in my voice. "I need to start completely fresh somewhere far away." She studied my face for a long moment. "It won't be easy." "I know," I replied. She didn't try to stop me. Instead, she helped me with the paperwork and applications. My sister cried when I told her. "I'll miss you so much," she wept. "I'll miss you too," I said, holding her tight. It took 2 months of frantic preparation. To afford the plane ticket, I sold anything of value I owned. My clothes, my phone, even a small pair of gold earrings. I refused to ask Jacob for a single cent. I wanted to start this new chapter with nothing that carried his memory. The day before I was set to leave, Jacob appeared at my mother's house. I was in the garden when he arrived. He looked thinner, exhausted. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Far away," I said simply. "I heard you're leaving the country," he pressed. "Yes, for good." He was quiet for a moment. "Can I say something?" I waited. "I know I hurt you," he began, his voice cracking. "I ruined everything. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I was too stupid to see it." "I'm so sorry." I remained silent, just looking at him. He stepped closer. "Please don't go. We can fix this. I'll change for real this time." I shook my head slowly. "I gave you 2 chances, Jacob. You wasted both of them." "I love you," he whispered, a last desperate plea. "You never showed it," I replied, my voice steady. "Not in the way that mattered." He lowered his eyes, defeated. He knew it was over. I turned and walked back inside the house without a backward glance. There were no more tears left to cry. The next morning at the airport was emotional. I hugged my mother and sister, clinging to them. My mother put her hands on my shoulders and looked me straight in the eye. "Go live your life, Alice," she said. "You're strong." And for the first time, I believed her. As the plane ascended into the clouds, I watched the world I knew shrink below me. When I landed in Lisbon, the air itself felt different. The language, the winding cobblestone streets, the faces of strangers, everything was new. I was terrified, but I was also incredibly free. It was as if I had been given a chance to step into a brand new life. I started my job at the hotel. My manager, Mr. Santos, was a kind man who spoke English slowly for my benefit. I worked the front desk, greeting guests from all over the world. The pay was modest, but I had something money could never buy: peace of mind. I found a small apartment to share with a girl named Lucia, who worked at a local bakery. She was quiet and respected my need for space. We would cook simple meals, listen to music, and sometimes take long walks along the seafront. At night, I started writing in a journal. I wrote about my past, the mistakes I made, and the lessons I learned. I poured out all the pain, anger, and eventual acceptance onto the pages. Sometimes I missed my family terribly. Sometimes I even missed the man I thought Jacob was. But I never missed the lies. I never missed the pain. One evening, I sat on a bench overlooking the ocean as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant strokes of orange and pink. The waves lapped at the shore, and a gentle breeze played with my hair. In that perfect, quiet moment, I felt a profound sense of peace wash over me, something I hadn't felt in years. "You did the right thing," I whispered to the sea, and I knew it was true. I had chosen myself. I had chosen a life of respect over a life of regret. Weeks melted into months. My Portuguese improved. I got better at my job. I started to smile more, to laugh from my belly again. I met people from dozens of different countries, many of whom were also running from something, searching for something. We shared coffee and quiet moments of understanding. Lucia once said to me, "You seem so strong, Alice." I smiled. "I wasn't always." "But you are now," she replied. And she was right. One day, on my walk home from work, I passed a small flower shop. On an impulse, I went inside and bought myself a single red rose. It wasn't a special occasion. It was just for me. It was an act of learning to love myself again. That night, I placed the rose in a glass of water on my windowsill. It was just a small flower, but to me, it represented everything. It meant I was alive. It meant I was free. It meant I was healing. I looked out at the twinkling lights of Lisbon and up at the vast, starry sky, and I whispered, "Thank you